and welcome. My name is Margaret, and welcome back to Costume and Conservation. I'm a historical costumer and textile conservator, eh? I finally got my degree in textile conservation last August, which is why I've been away for a while. I got my degree, I moved, I started a new job, and I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things here on this channel. I make no promises though. I have a lot of things going on in this life, but today I wanted to give you a video that I filmed back in July of last year, and this was making a dress for the Barbie premiere. Because of the actors strike, which happened like right around that time, I didn't put out the video then, but since it's the Oscars today, I don't know who won yet, but there's a lot of Barbie buzz, so I thought I would put out this video anyway for you to enjoy. As you can see, between now and then, I have gotten a pretty dramatic haircut, so you will be seeing me with long hair in that video. This dress you're going to see was a gown inspired by the first Barbie, Barbie #1 in 1959. Margot Robbie also has a interpolation of this costume in the movie as well. It's iconic, and I didn't feel like wearing a bathing suit to the premiere, so I did in fact make it into a little cocktail-length dress. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you later. So for this project, I pattern hacked a reproduction 1950s evening gown pattern to make it shorter, but I also had to do an extensive mock-up process, which ended up being like 3 or 4 mock-ups.
Hello everybody, I'm going to quick update you on the mock-up process. This has become a whole thing. So for some reason, this pattern was like 3 inches too long for my torso. And I'm not super short torsoed. So as you can see, this is my new pattern piece. This is the old pattern piece. Like we have cut this down by like a grand lot. So I'm actually moving into doing another mock-up, which will extend this process a little bit, but hopefully we will get into sewing very soon.
After finishing the extensive mock-up process, I cut the base layer out of a sturdy cotton twill. This will form the structural bodice and the skirt lining. I then cut out my stripy overlayer. This was a black and white, lightweight striped silk. It was incredibly wiggly and incredibly squiggly and quite difficult to work with, as you'll see throughout this process. I tried to match up the skirt pieces as best as possible so that we get like a very nice cohesive stripe going down. I then sewed the bodice lining together, darting the bust pieces, sewing the front side and back seams together, and leaving one side open, of course, for the zipper closure. And then I sewed the front curves of the overlay together. I put this on my dress form, her name is Beverly, making sure to smooth and pin the center front in place, and then gathering the curve to form that iconic sweetheart gathered neckline. I then basted this front overlayer piece to the cotton lining so that I could accurately pin and sew the side and back overlay so that they would match the seams of the lining. And then I proceeded to sew the overlay together. I used a black cotton bias tape to bind the top edge. I folded it back to the inside so that it wouldn't show on the exterior but would give a nice finished edge and also would provide extra structure for that point. I sewed it into place with whip stitches. Then I tacked down the center front bust seam with whip stitches and added boning channels to each of the bodice seams by hand. I added boning to each of these seams so that it would help to give the bodice more structure and that as a strapless dress, it would stay up on my body. I then focused my attention to the skirt. I sewed the long seams of the lining and then the striped overlayer, put those two together, and then attached them to the bodice. I hemmed the lining layer by hand. I really could have done this by machine, but I'm kind of obsessed with hand sewing, so I do it whenever I can. I hand sewed the invisible zipper in because that silk was just too wiggly. I needed the extra control, but I still had to redo it like 3 times. And it just, I hate putting in zippers, but it's a fact of life. I then added the boning to the final seam. As you can see here, this is how I inserted the plastic boning that I used. I then popped the dress on my dress form and let it hang for a couple of days in order for the silk overlayer to get all of its deformation out. When you cut sort of triangular shaped skirts, like most skirts are, oftentimes part of the fabric will be on the bias, and allowing it to sort of relax with gravity will give you a better hem in the long run. So I used a ruler and pins to mark the hemline after the skirt had deformed, and I leveled the hem with the scissors. I then hemmed the overlay and the dress was done. I do like the final dress. The back was still the tiniest bit long-waisted for me, and the silk, again, was decently hard to work with, and so it's kind of like baggy and saggy in parts, but not super, super noticeable, and also the stripe sort of hides that a little bit. All in all, it totally worked for the event, and I would totally wear it again. Thank you to Allied Marketing for inviting me to the Barbie screening. We had a wonderful time. Thank you, Barbie! And yes, I did in fact wear that hairstyle all day. And it was ridiculous. Thank you for watching the video. I had a lot of fun making that dress, and hopefully I'll get to wear it sometime else. I don't know where I'm gonna wear it. Maybe a Halloween costume, maybe a fun party. We'll see. But I hope you had a fun time watching that video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
So sorry. But the torso on this thing was like 3 inches too damn long. And I was like, who is this for? This makes no goddamn sense. So I had to like cut 3 inches off the freaking torso. Yeah. Whenever I have to do more than one mock-up, I'm a little perturbed. Just in general.